All right, let's do this. My name is Ian Bryant, and I'm a storm chaser for the National Weather Service. I'm a storm chaser based out of the Midwest. My jurisdiction typically ranges all of Minnesota, all Wisconsin, northern Iowa, and northern Illinois. My connections are primarily through the La Crosse National Weather Service and the Chanhassen National Weather Service. I've been chasing for about 5 years, really enjoy it. I got certified with the National Weather Service this past March, and I'm excited to hear your questions. Let's start off with number one. Tell us about your storm chasing playlist. All right, my storm chasing playlist. Yeah, there are a lot of days where you chase nothing but clear air, so it's good to have. It can be good to have like rock music to have on, just something to keep the energy up. I personally listen to a lot of AC/DC. Of course, the Twister soundtrack is on there, so you got to have a little bit of the Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, like the Storm Chaser melody. I've got some Blake Shelton on there, which is certainly good, and then obviously the Twister theme from the original movie. So it really varies, but a lot more rock to keep the energy up. So thanks for your question. Hey, next one. How do storms form? It varies based on the kind of storm. Some storms are thunderstorms, some storms are just rain. But the big thing is the humidity and the water building up. So obviously you have rain, then the sun comes in, humidifies it, it evaporates in the atmosphere, clouds. Eventually you get a lot of that, and it rains. Thunderstorms happen when there's a lot of water and the water particles rub against each other, and static electricity, just like rubbing a balloon on your head. Eventually that finds a nearest spot to the ground, lightning, that's a thunderstorm. Severe storms are a big line of that. So it's an area where they run in, and it's just a giant front of that kind of stuff. Each one's a little bit different. You can get ones that are in a line. Some of them are just giant blobs of rain and heavy wind. And then obviously you can get those supercells, which are isolated areas of that where it has that fuel all to itself. So instead of a regular storm where it has to share its fuel with the other part of the storm, a supercell is an area isolated where it gets the fuel all to itself. So that is a very good question. Next one, how do tornadoes form? So tornadoes typically form in supercells, just like we were talking about. Some of them do take place in regular storms, but traditionally you see it in supercells because it has all that fuel. Now, we're not totally sure on all the parts, but we have a majority of it down. The big thing is you need humid air from the Gulf rushing up to the Midwest, and then cold, dry air coming down from the northern part of North America, meeting there. They mix, and you get that convection. You get that buildup of storms. Convection is that rising air, sometimes referred to meteorologists as CAPE. Now, you need a lot of that rising motion to get storms like that, otherwise they won't form properly. The big thing from there is that spinning air. So at areas of that wind, the big one is referred to as the RFD, or the rear flank downdraft. That gives the storm its shape, and then that rotates the storm, which eventually turns down into a tornado. That's the basics of it. It's very, very complicated, and I could probably make a separate video if you're interested in seeing that. How would I become a storm chaser? That is very easy. In fact, it is free to get your standard certification. I personally went over to Pepin through Pepin County, but I went on to further my certification and knowledge. So now I work for the National Weather Service, issuing warnings, watches, and make connections with local news stations to get videos and photos out to them. Reed Timmer started in a very similar way if you're interested in learning more about that. But if you want to become just a regular certified spotter, you can do that from the porch of your home, and you certainly don't need to take it as far as I did. That's a good question. Hope to see you out on the road. What does the stuff on your car do? That's a good question. There's a few things on there. I won't go in depth on everything because there is a lot. The big thing is that it's built for primarily spotter and issuing of the warnings and watches, and then the storm reports as well, and then the videos and photos that go to local news stations. So the big things you'll see on there are the weather station. That's a Santa weather station. It ties down to a little monitor in the front of my car. There is the Wi-Fi booster antenna that gives me access to relay that information. And the big thing on there is that it doesn't actually make Wi-Fi, it just boosts the signal that there is. So even in low Wi-Fi areas, I can still get something. So you need the Wi-Fi or the cellular data at least. There's a couple other antennas, including a CB. There's a light on there. There's obviously the spotlight in the front. I'm really directing the vehicle to become more first response based too, which is I'm hoping to get done here by the end of the year. What are all the certifications you have? I actually only have one right now. So the certification I have is primarily just the spotter the certification. The next formal one I'm getting is actually going to be first response. That's hopefully going to be done in the next year, but that's going to be done with partnership with local law enforcement. That's a very good question. What kind of camera do you use? Great question. Right now I'm actually just shooting on my iPhone. I'm using a spare phone to answer the questions. But I also have, in addition, I also have a Canon T7i that I'm currently renting through my local university. This is great, especially for students on a college budget. So I don't have to go out and actually purchase another camera. The reason why I have this though is because the new stations I've been taking, this tends to capture a lot more detail, some of the clouds and the structure of the storm. My phone does a really good job. I'm doing this because I really just want to step it up and try to keep up with some of the competition out there without having to pay for that college budget. But I would definitely encourage you to utilize your phone camera if you've got it and kind of learn the tips and tricks on there. So very, very good question. My main thing is use your camera on your phone. How long have you been storm chasing? I've been stage chasing since the great state of Minnesota gave me a driver's license. So 5 years, but formally only for a few months. Good question. Okay, this might be my favorite question so far. If a tornado is coming, what do I need to have in my house, or what should I have in my house? I don't know who asked this question, but very, very good. My favorite one so far. So you're gonna want a steady pair of boots, steel toe preferably, but more or less just closed shoes. Especially if your neighborhood gets hit by a tornado or a strong storm, having a good pair of shoes is very important. A battery operated radio, if possible. Having one of those little Midland weather radios is very good because then you can actually know what's going on the outside if you lose weather, if you lose data on your phone. Water and some dry food is very good as well, and then a shelter. So a central area of your home, or if possible, a certified weather shelter. Those are typically built into the basement of homes or more realistically outdoors, separate from the home. So very, very good question. The National Weather Service, their website should have a list of items to either have in your car or have in your home with you. So very good question. My favorite one. I've heard mixed opinions. I've seen people parking under overpasses, and I've seen or heard people not parking under overpasses. Okay, so it sounds like you're asking about whether you should park under an overpass or not. Never, never, ever. No matter what kind of storm it is, parking under an overpass is not a good idea. If it's hail, sometimes you just kind of need to put up with it, find some shelter off the road. Here's the reason why for standard thunderstorms not to park under it. It backs up traffic, and then everyone is left with just sitting in the hail, because those are only 50 feet wide or so. So no matter what, you'll be able to fit 2 cars under there. It's just not a good idea. It's very dangerous. But with that, typically when there's hail, it sometimes means that there's a tornado to follow. If you are under an overpass during a tornado, the tornado actually makes a wind tunnel. So it makes it so much more likely for you to be swept out. So if you're in your car, go lay in a ditch. Do not stay in your car if there is a tornado, because your car will be tossed. There's a lot less likely of a chance for you to be tossed. Preferably just stay away from the severe weather when you're traveling, contact someone you know, and they'll be able to take care of you. These are all really good questions. Thank you so much for asking them. In the meantime, please keep those questions coming. We're in the heart of storm season right now, so making sure that you all are staying weather aware, weather savvy is very, very important. In the meantime, I'll see you out there. Stay weather savvy, y'all.